My beloved, before you close your eyes, before you allow your breath to slow and your body to soften, come a little closer to this moment. Do not rush past it. Do not dismiss this gentle pause as insignificant. There is something sacred here, hovering quietly in the space between your last thought of the day and the rest you long for. This is not interruption. This is invitation. I know how tired you are, not only in your body, but in places no one else sees. I know how the day lingered longer than it should have, how words replayed, how moments stayed unfinished in your mind. You were ready to lay it all down, yet something within you sensed there was one more thing to hear. You were right. Rest is not only the closing of eyes, it is the settling of the heart. And tonight, before you drift, I desire to speak to the part of you that is still holding on, the part that believes it must remain alert, responsible, braced. You do not need to guard the night. You do not need to carry the weight of tomorrow into this hour. Stay with me here. Let the noise soften. Let the room grow quieter inside you. Nothing is being demanded. Nothing is being taken. This is simply a moment of presence, a gentle hand at your back, guiding you toward peace. Listen slowly. Breathe deeply. You are safe enough to hear this. And once you do, rest will no longer feel distant or earned. It will feel allowed. My child, hear this before you rest, because rest without truth is shallow, and sleep without peace leaves the soul awake. I will not let you rest yet, not because I wish to withhold comfort, but because I love you too deeply to let you lie down carrying what was never meant to stay with you through the night. This message is timed, not by chance but by tenderness. There is a reason you encountered these words now, at the edge of your day, when defenses are lower and honesty breathes closer to the surface. In the quiet before rest, the heart listens differently. It stops performing. It stops proving. It simply listens. You have been strong today, even if no one noticed, even if it felt messy or incomplete. Strength does not always look like victory. Sometimes it looks like endurance. Sometimes it looks like getting through. And now, as the world grows dimmer and expectations loosen their grip, I ask you not to fall asleep too quickly. Stay awake just long enough to hear what will change the way you rest. I will not let you rest until you hear this, because you have learned to lie down with tension as if it were normal. You have learned to carry quiet worries into your dreams, to let your mind keep watch while your body sleeps. That is not rest. That is survival wearing the mask of peace. Tonight is different. Not because the day was perfect, but because you are allowed to release it. The urgency you feel is not pressure. It is care. It is the gentle insistence of love saying, pause, listen, do not carry this one step further. Hear this. You do not need to resolve everything before morning. You do not need to replay conversations or rehearse tomorrow's fears. The night was not created for problem solving. It was created for restoration. And restoration begins with truth. The truth is, you are not behind. You are not failing. You are not missing something essential that will unravel everything if you stop thinking about it now. The weight you feel pressing on your chest, that subtle tightness, that restlessness beneath the calm, it is not a warning. It is a signal that you have been holding too much for too long. I speak now because this is the hour when you are most honest with yourself. When distractions fade and the heart whispers what it could not say all day. I hear those whispers. I hear the unspoken questions, the silent bargaining, the fatigue you tried to ignore. And I am not distant from any of it. Listen carefully, my beloved. You are allowed to rest without having everything figured out. You are allowed to sleep without guarding every outcome. You are allowed to stop, fully stop, without guilt following you into the dark. This is why I asked you to hear this before you rest. Because once this truth settles in you, rest will no longer feel fragile. It will feel steady, like a deep breath finally exhaled, like standing at the threshold of night and realizing you are not alone here. Stay with me a moment longer. Let these words sink beneath the surface. Rest is coming. But first, let your heart hear what it had been waiting for all day. My precious one, before you rest, I want you to know this with a certainty deeper than thought. I see you. Not the version of you that moved through the day on habit or responsibility, but the quieter self beneath it all. The one that felt the weight before it ever reached your shoulders. The one that held emotions without language. The one that wondered, even briefly, if anyone truly noticed how much effort it took just to arrive at the end of this day. Nothing about you was overlooked. Not the moment you swallowed words to keep peace. Not the sigh you released when no one was listening. Not the tiredness that settled behind your eyes long before evening arrived. You were seen when you kept going anyway. You were seen when you slowed down. You were seen even in the moments you wish you could rewrite. There are parts of today you have already judged harshly. You replayed them in your mind, measuring yourself against what you hoped you would be. But I see more than the surface of those moments. I see the intention beneath the action. I see the love beneath the hesitation. I see the courage it took simply to show up with the energy you had left. You are not invisible to me in your quiet struggles, the doubts you didn't voice, the heaviness you carried politely, the longing for reassurance you told yourself you didn't need. All of it reached me, and none of it diminished you. You may believe that some parts of your story are wasted, that certain seasons should have produced more clarity, more progress, more answers by now. But listen to me gently. Nothing you have endured was empty. Even the waiting shaped you. Even the confusion taught you how to listen inwardly. Even the ache expanded your capacity for compassion, for depth, for understanding that cannot be rushed. I know how exhausting it is to feel misunderstood, even by yourself. To sense that something inside you is changing but not yet have the words for it. You carry a quiet hope alongside a quiet fear. I know how heavy it feels to lie down at night with questions still open, feelings still unresolved. You are not failing because you feel this way. You are human, tender, alive. And you are allowed to be exactly where you are without apology. Let this truth settle now. You do not need to explain yourself to rest. You do not need to justify your feelings. You do not need to make sense of everything before you close your eyes. I already know. I already understand. Every tear that never fell was counted. Every effort that went unnoticed was held. Every time you chose kindness over defense, patience over reaction, perseverance over giving up, it mattered. Even when it cost you something. Especially then. You are not late. You are not broken. You are not weak for needing reassurance tonight. You are simply carrying a heart that has been open in a demanding world. And that heart deserves gentleness. Come closer to this knowing. Let it quiet the inner voice that keeps score. Let it soften the tension you've grown used to carrying. You do not have to prove your worth to be worthy of rest. You do not have to earn peace by exhaustion. I see the whole of you. The strength and the softness. The questions and the faith that flickers even when you're tired. And I tell you now with steady assurance, you are known. Fully. Tenderly. Without condition. Let that be enough for this moment. Let being seen lighten the load you brought into the night. You are not alone in this. You never were. And you can rest knowing that nothing about you has been missed. My beloved, you are standing at a threshold now, even if it does not look dramatic or marked by anything visible. It feels quiet, ordinary, like any other moment before sleep. And yet, this space you are in carries more meaning than you realize. It is the space between holding and releasing, between carrying and setting down, between what within what will be. Thresholds are rarely loud. They do not announce themselves with force. They whisper. They wait. They ask for attention, not urgency. And tonight, you have arrived at one of them. All day long, your mind has been moving forward or backward, revisiting what already happened, anticipating what might come. But this moment is different. This moment asks you to be here, fully, not bracing, not playing, simply present. That is why it matters so much what you choose to do with it. If you cross this threshold unconsciously, dragging the weight of the day with you, rest will come, but it will be thin. Your body may sleep, but your heart will remain on watch. If you cross it intentionally, with awareness and trust, rest will become something deeper, healing, something that reaches places effort never could. This is why I speak now, not earlier, when the noise was louder, not later, when sleep has already taken hold. Now, because this is the moment when direction is quietly chosen. You may not feel decisive. You may feel uncertain, foggy, worn. That does not disqualify you. Thresholds are not crossed by certainty alone. They are crossed by willingness. A small, honest willingness to stop gripping so tightly. Hear me carefully. You do not need to solve your life tonight. You do not need to understand every lesson, define every feeling, or prepare for every outcome. That is not what this moment is asking of you. It is asking something simpler, and yet more profound. It is asking whether you will trust enough to let go for a while. Drifting away is easy. It looks like distraction, like scrolling until your eyes close, like replaying familiar worries until exhaustion wins. Clarity, however, comes from choice. A gentle, conscious choice to cross from tension into peace, from vigilance into rest. I am not rushing you across this threshold. I am standing with you at it. My presence does not push. It reassures. You are not being tested here. You are being invited. Here is a version of you that believes rest must wait until everything is safe, certain, and resolved. Agree and learn to survive by staying alert. Thank it. It carried you this far. But tonight, you are allowed to choose differently. Tonight, you are allowed to trust that you do not need to guard every edge of your life while you sleep. This threshold is not about losing control. It is about discovering you were never meant to hold it all alone. It is about recognizing that even in stillness, even in sleep, you are held. Pause here for a breath. Notice where you are tense. Notice where you are bracing. You do not need to change it yet. Just notice. Awareness is the doorway. Compassion is the key. If you choose to cross this threshold with me, you will not disappear. You will not fall behind. You will not lose yourself. You will find yourself resting in something steadier than effort, something kinder than vigilance. This moment matters because it shapes how you enter the night. And the night, in turn, shapes how you rise. You are not drifting blindly. You are choosing gently. Stay with me at this edge just a little longer. Let clarity replace noise. Let presence replace pressure. When you step forward, Do so knowing you are not stepping into emptiness, but into care, into safety, into rest that waits for you with open hands. My precious one, before you cross fully into rest, we must gently acknowledge what has been standing in the way. Not to confront it with force, not to judge it or push it aside, but to name it softly so it no longer has power through silence. What remains unnamed often feels larger than it is. What is seen with compassion begins to loosen its grip. There are barriers between you and rest tonight, and they are familiar. They have visited you before. Worried it circles endlessly, pretending to be responsibility. Regret that revisits old moments, convincing you they still need punishment. Fear that leans into tomorrow, whispering, what if, what if, what if? None of these arrive because you are weak. They arrive because you care. You have learned to equate vigilance with love, tension with preparedness. Somewhere along the way, resting began to feel risky, as if letting go meant something important would slip through your fingers, as if peace were only allowed once every loose end was tied. That belief did not come from nowhere. It was shaped by experiences, disappointments, moments when you had to stay alert just to feel safe. But hear me clearly now. These barriers are not your identity. They are responses, learned patterns, protective habits that once served a purpose. They are not flaws in you. They are evidence of how deeply you have tried to navigate a complicated world. Doubt may be telling you that you have missed something essential, that you should have been further along by now. Fear may be telling you that if you rest, you will lose momentum, control, or clarity. Hesitation may be telling you to wait just a little longer before letting go. These voices are persuasive because they sound practical. They sound familiar. They sound like survival. But survival is not the same as living, and it is not the same as resting. Notice how these barriers feel in your body. The tight jaw, the shallow breath, the subtle readiness to react. You have carried this posture for so long that it feels normal. But normal does not always mean necessary. There are also external influences tugging at you. Expectations you did not choose. Standards that were handed to you without consent. The quiet pressure to be more, do more, takes more. Even now, at the edge of sleep, those voices try to follow you into the dark. You do not have to carry them there. I am not asking you to banish these barriers. I am asking you to see them for what they are. Not enemies, but signals. They signal that you have been stretched, that you have been responsible, that you have cared deeply, and they also signal that it is time for something gentler. You may believe that if you let these barriers down, everything will rush in at once, that the feelings you've held back will overwhelm you. That is not what happens when you are held. When there is safety, release becomes measured. Breath returns naturally. The body knows how to soften when it is not threatened. Let me say this slowly, so it can settle. You are not your anxiety. You are not your overthinking. You are not your fear of tomorrow or your regret about yesterday. Those are experiences you are having, not definitions of who you are. Your true self is quieter than these barriers. Steady. It has been waiting beneath the noise, patient, enduring. And it does not need you to fight on its behalf. It needs permission to rest. Tonight, you do not need to resolve these barriers. You do not need to analyze them or overcome them. Simply acknowledge them. Thank them for trying to protect you, and then allow them to step back, just a little. You are not failing by needing rest. You are not responsible for letting go. You are responding wisely to the limits of being human. Stay here with this understanding. Let compassion replace self-criticism. Let awareness replace struggle. The barriers do not define you, and they do not get the final word tonight. Peace is not found by force. It is found by recognition. And now that these barriers have been seen, they no longer stand between you and rest. They can remain, but they do not lead. You do. And you are ready to move forward gently. My beloved, now that you have paused, now that you have seen what hath been weighing on you, I want to reveal something gently, without spectacle or demand. This is not a promise shaped like a reward. It is not an exchange that must be earned. It is a promise of presence, a promise of peace that does not depend on circumstances lining up or questions being answered. Here is a kind of rest that goes beyond sleep. You have tasted it briefly before, perhaps without realizing what it was. It is the moment your shoulders drop unexpectedly, the moment your breath deepens without effort, the moment you realize you are not bracing anymore. That rest is not fragile. It does not vanish when life becomes complicated. It grows stronger when you allow it space. I promise you this. You are not meant to live in constant tension. Peace is not something you borrow for a night and repay with anxiety in the morning. It is meant to dwell with you, quietly, steadily, even when life is unfinished. There is healing available to you that does not require you to revisit every wound. There is clarity that does not arrive through overthinking. There is restoration that happens while you are not trying. This is not avoidance. This is trust. I know part of you is cautious. You have learned that promises can disappoint, that hope can feel risky. But this promise is not fragile because it does not depend on outcomes, and depends on connection. And connection is already here. Peace does not mean nothing will ever hurt again. It means pain will no longer define you. It means confusion will no longer be your compass. It means even in uncertainty, you will not be alone inside yourself. Tonight, the promise is simple and profound. If you allow yourself to rest in presence rather than effort, something within you will begin to realign. Not all at once, not dramatically, but steadily, quietly, like light arriving at dawn, not with noise, but with inevitability. You may be longing for answers, direction, reassurance about the path ahead. Those will come in time. But the promise I offer first is peace now, not as a distraction, but as a foundation. From peace, everything else becomes clearer. There is restoration happening even when you are unaware of it. Your nervous system knows how to heal when it is not under constant demand. Your heart knows how to soften when it is not defending itself. Your mind knows how to settle when it is not forced to carry tomorrow into the night. I promise you this as well. You are not falling behind by resting. You are not losing ground. You are being prepared. The strength you need will not come from pushing harder, but from allowing yourself to be replenished. This promise is not transactional. You do not receive peace because you behaved well enough today or endured enough pain. You receive it because you are loved, because you are here, because you are willing to pause and listen. Let this sink deeper than thaw. Peace is not a fragile state you must protect. It is something that can hold you, something that remains even when you do not feel strong. Tonight, as you move closer to rest, know this: you are being restored even now. Your breath is not wasted. Your stillness is not empty. This quiet is not avoidance. It is preparation. I promise to meet you here, in this gentleness, again and again. Not only tonight, but whenever you choose to pause. You are not walking toward peace alone. You are being led into it, softly, faithfully, without pressure. Let this promise settle in your body. Let it loosen what had been tight for too long. Rest is not something you must chase. It is something that is already opening its arms to you, and you are allowed to step into it without fear. My precious one, now we arrive at the gentlest turning of all. Not a demand, not a command, simply an invitation to lay down what you have been carrying and receive what you were never meant to live without. This is the sacred exchange, and it is offered freely, without force, without urgency. Surrender has been misunderstood by you. It has sounded like loss, like giving up, like weakness. But true surrender is not collapse. It is trust choosing to exhale. It is the moment your clenched hands realize they can open without danger. It is the realization that you do not have to keep proving your strength to be held. You have been carrying so much quietly. Responsibilities that did not pause. Expectations that did not soften. Emotions that had nowhere to land. Even now, there may be a part of you that is unsure how to let go, because holding on has felt safer than releasing. I understand that hesitation. I honor the courage it took to survive by gripping tightly. But hear me now, slowly. You do not have to drop everything at once. You do not have to empty yourself in a single moment. Surrender can be gradual, breath by breath, layer by layer. What matters is not how much you release, but that you are willing to begin. Imagine, just for a moment, placing the weight of the day down, not throwing it away, simply setting it beside you. The conversations, the worries, the unfinished thoughts. They do not disappear, but they no longer press against your chest. They are not resting on your shoulders anymore. In this exchange, nothing is taken from you without something gentler being given in return. As you release tension, calm arrives quietly. As you loosen control, steadiness replaces it. As you stop rehearsing fear, breath deepens naturally. This is not imagination. This is how you were designed to restore. You are not surrendering to emptiness. You are surrendering into care, into presence, into something that knows how to hold you without asking you to perform. Let go of the guilt that says you should have done more today. Let go of the voice that says rest must be earned. Let go of the belief that vigilance equals love. None of those are required here. They can remain outside this moment. What you receive now is not excitement or intensity. It is something quieter, a sense of being covered, a feeling of safety that does not need explanation, a calm that settles not because everything is fixed, but because you are no longer alone with it. You may feel emotion rise as you release. That is not failure. That is your body recognizing relief. Tears are not weakness. They are evidence that something inside you is softening after a long season of holding. Stay with this exchange. Do not rush past it. Let your shoulders drop. Let your jaw unclench. Let your breathing slow without effort. You do not need to direct it. Your body remembers how to return to balance when it is allowed. In this sacred exchange, anxiety does not disappear forever, but it loosens its grip. Control does not vanish, but it no longer dominates. You are not becoming passive. You are becoming receptive. There is a difference. You are receiving permission to rest without conditions. You exist without effort, to be held without explanation. This is not something you must sustain. It will sustain you. If part of you resists, that is okay. Resistance does not cancel the exchange. Even resistance can be held here. Nothing about you needs to be fixed before you receive rest. Stay a moment longer. Let the exchange complete itself naturally. What you release does not define you. What you receive does not overwhelm you. It steadies you. And as you continue toward rest, know this: you are not losing yourself in surrender. You are returning to yourself, to the version of you that knows how to breathe, how to soften, how to trust. This exchange is still happening, even now, and you are safe within it. My beloved, as you move closer to rest, I want to guide you gently into alignment, not through rules or rigid steps, but through small, living choices that bring your inner world back into harmony. Peace is not only something you feel, it is something you practice softly, moment by moment, especially in the ordinary spaces of your life. Alignment begins with attention, not strained focus, but kind noticing. Notice how your body responds when you slow your breath. Notice how your thoughts soften when you stop feeding emergency. These are not tricks. They are signals. Your inner world is always responding to what you give it. Before rest, allow yourself to create a boundary around your thoughts. Not a wall, a gentle edge. You do not need to answer every question tonight. You do not need to solve tomorrow before it arrives. When a thought reaches for your attention, you can acknowledge it without following it. You can say, quietly within yourself, "Not now. There will be time later." This is the practice of trust. Your time, even in these final moments of the day, deserves stewardship. Give it calm instead of noise, stillness instead of stimulation. Let the light in the room soften. Let the rhythm around you slow. These small choices tell your nervous system that it is safe to stand down. That it does not need to stay alert anymore. Alignment also touches how you speak to yourself. The voice you carry inward matters more than you realize. Tonight, let that voice be gentle. Let it sound like reassurance instead of correction. If you notice self-criticism rising, do not fight it. Simply replace it with truth. You did enough for today. You are allowed to rest now. Peace becomes an internal compass when you learn to follow it rather than question it. When something within you tightens, that is information. When something softens, that is guidance. You do not need to analyze it deeply. Just notice. Alignment grows naturally when you honor what brings steadiness instead of what demands constant effort. As you move through your days, this alignment will continue beyond tonight. It will show up in the pauses you allow yourself, in the moments you choose presence over pressure, in the way you listen to your limits without shame. Rest is not confined to sleep. It begins there, but it spreads outward, touching how you live. You do not need to overhaul your life to be aligned. You only need to make room for what calms you. A few deep breaths before responding. A moment of silence before reaching for distraction. A choice to stop pushing when your body asks for kindness. These are not small things. They are sacred practices. Let peace guide your decisions, not fear. Fear rushes. Peace steadies. Fear demands certainty. Peace allows process. When you learn to recognize the difference, alignment becomes less effortful. You stop forcing yourself forward and begin moving with a quiet sense of rightness. Tonight, alignment means allowing your body to sleep without tension, allowing your mind to quiet without guilt, allowing your heart to rest without explanation. This is not withdrawal from life. It is preparation for it. You may worry that if you become too gentle with yourself, you will lose motivation. But gentleness does not dull purpose. It clarifies it. When you are aligned, your energy is not scattered. It is directed. Calm does not weaken you. It strengthens your ability to discern what truly matters. Carry this alignment with you as you lie down. Let your breath be unforced. Let your thoughts come and go without attachment. Let your body sink into the surface beneath you, trusting that it is supported. Peace is not something you must maintain with vigilance. It is something that grows when you stop resisting it. Tonight, you have already begun aligning simply by listening, by slowing, by choosing to be here. As you rest, this alignment will continue its quiet work. You do not need to manage it. You only need to allow it. And in allowing it, you are learning a new way of living. One guided not by pressure but by peace. My precious one, now we arrive at the moment where everything gently gathers. Not into pressure, not into demand, but into a simple choice. A quiet turning of the heart. You have listened. You have softened. You have been honest. And now, before rest fully claims you, there is an invitation to respond. This choice is not dramatic. It does not require intensity or resolve. It is the smallest movement inward. A willingness to trust what has been spoken over what has been feared. A willingness to rest not because everything feels finished, but because you are finished striving for the night. You have always had choice, even when it felt like you didn't. Tonight, the choice is this. Will you carry yourself into sleep with tension or with trust? Will you let the old patterns decide for you, or will you gently choose something new? I am not asking you to promise anything about tomorrow. I am not asking you to commit to perfection or clarity. I am simply inviting you to choose rest as an act of trust, to choose peace as a declaration of safety, to choose stillness as a statement that you are held. Let your response take shape in words, not spoken aloud if you don't wish to, but formed within you. Words have weight. They shape what settles into your heart as you sleep. Let these declarations be gentle, not forced. Let them feel true, not idealized. Say within yourself, slowly, I am allowed to rest now. Say it, I release today without guilt. Say, I do not need to carry tomorrow into this moment. Notice how your body responds when you say this. Notice the soul shift. This is alignment responding to truth. Continue if you can. I am safe enough to let go. I am held even when I am still. Nothing essential will be lost while I rest. These are not affirmations meant to convince you of something untrue. They are reminders of what has always been available, waiting for your consent. You may feel resistance. A part of you may say, not yet. Stay alert. Be careful. Do not fight that voice. Simply answer it with kindness. Thank you for trying to protect me. I am resting now. This is the power of choice made without force. It does not silence fear by command. It softens it through reassurance. Let one final declaration settle in you, like a seal placed gently on your heart. I trust this moment. I trust this rest. I trust that I am not alone. You do not need to repeat these perfectly. You do not need to remember them tomorrow. Their purpose is for now, for this threshold between waking and sleeping, where the heart is open and the mind is quiet enough to receive. Choosing rest does not mean disengaging from life. It means re-entering it from a place of wholeness. Tonight, you are choosing restoration over rumination, presence over pressure, trust over control. As sleep approaches, you may feel yourself drifting. Let it happen. You do not need to hold on to these words tightly. They will remain even as your thoughts fade. Truth settles deeper than memory. If you wake in the night, return to the choice gently. If thoughts rise again, repeat one simple declaration. I am safe. That is enough. You do not need to say more. This choice you are making now will echo quietly into tomorrow, not as obligation, but as grounding. You are teaching your inner world that rest is not dangerous, that peace is not temporary, that you can let go and still be held. I am here with you as you choose, not watching from a distance, not testing your resolve, simply present, steady, unmoving. Let the choice be made. Let the declaration settle. Let the night receive you gently. You have done all that is needed for this moment, and now you can rest. My beloved, the night has opened itself to you now. The edges of the day have softened, and there is nothing left for you to carry forward. You have listened. You have released. You have chosen. Let that be enough. As you rest, know this gently and without question. Nothing about you is unguarded. Nothing about your life is unattended. You are not drifting into darkness alone. You are settling into care, into stillness that knows your name, into quiet that restores without asking anything in return. Let your breathing slow as it wishes. Let your body sink into the place where it is held. There is no need to monitor yourself. No need to remain alert. Even now, even here, you are being sustained. If thoughts return, let them pass like distant clouds. You do not need to follow them. If emotions surface, let them rise and fall without judgment. They do not disrupt your rest. They are simply moving through. Nothing needs to be fixed tonight. Remember the truth you heard before you rested. Remember why I asked you to pause. Hear this before you rest. You were not stopped because you were lacking. You were stopped because you were loved. Because rest without peace is not rest, and you were never meant to sleep carrying unnecessary weight. Now, you may rest fully. Let the title seal this moment gently around you, like a final whisper carried on breath and calm. Hear this before you rest. I won't let you rest until you hear this. You had heard it. And because you have heard it, rest is no longer distant or fragile. It is here. May your sleep be deep and unguarded. May your body restore without effort. May your heart remain at ease even in stillness. I remain near, not to interrupt, but to cover. Not to demand, but to hold. Not to wake you, but to watch with tenderness as you rest. Sleep now, my precious one. The night is safe, and you are deeply, gently, completely held.